welcome. This is Preeti. I am so glad you're joining me today. And I'm going to use this stamp set called Thanks a Bunch from Crafty Meraki to create my card today. And the video, I'm calling it 4 dimension on a one layer card. So I'm basically showing you how to create dimensions or layers, but by just keeping the card base as just a single layer. So I'm starting off by stamping this beautiful floral stamp, which is a new stamp for the release for Meraki Craft Over 2021. And this release is packed with some amazing products like stamps and slimline dies and even gemstones, which I will show you in this video eventually. There are a lot of details about this in the description box below, so please don't forget to check that out. So I'm just going to stamp that using Versamark, and all I'm going to do is add some gold embossing powder, and I'm going to emboss this. Now, you don't have to emboss it, but embossing definitely makes life easy as we progress into this project. And I'm going to color these flowers using some distress inks. And I'm going to also use distress oxide as well as just regular distress inks. And you can see you can definitely mix and match your colors or your medias or mediums to color your project. Now, I don't remember if I told you or not, the cardstock on which I have gone ahead and stamped this floral stamp is hot press watercolor paper. Now, you don't necessarily need to use hot press. You could even use a regular cold press watercolor cardstock or whatever watercolor cardstock you have. I like the hot press mainly because it has a very smooth texture. It makes it very easy to stamp, especially when you want to heat emboss. Now, if I wasn't heat embossing, I wouldn't bother using a hot press. I would have just done it with a regular cardstock, which has that grainy effect or textured effect on their top. But because I was going to heat emboss it, I wanted it to be crisp, and that's the reason why I used hot press watercolor cardstock. So after I was as I said, after I did the embossing, I started to color, and here I'm using I don't quite remember the color that I used here. I think it was I'm sorry. I'm not remembering, but I will have that in the description box below for you to see what colors I use. So I'm using this lighter pink here, and I'm just dipping my brush in the paint and then lifting water and then moving the color around. And the Distress Oxide ink and the Distress inks, actually, they really work very well with water and watercolor cardstock, and they move very easily. Now I've taken this darker shade of red here, and I'm just adding some depths to just a couple of flowers, not all of the flowers. Just the 2 flowers, the little bud here, and then another little flower, not the little flower, the larger flower on the left side, using the same red ink. As I'm coloring, as you watch me color, I just want to talk to you a little bit about this blog. It's not the blog hop, sorry, the video hop. So there are quite a few amazing artist on this video hop, and I'm sure you have been hopping along. I am the last one on the stop, but if you have happened to start here, then I have linked Crafty Meraki's video channel underneath in the description box below, and I would really love it if you started there, because that way you can see who's next and all the beautiful inspirations that different artists have created. Now, Crafty Meraki is also generously giving away a gift, and it's $100 worth product for one lucky winner. And all you need to do is add a comment on the description, or underneath in the comment box below, and make sure to subscribe to my channel and subscribe to Crafty Meraki's channel, so that you don't miss out exciting videos that they put out every week on their channel. And I do put out some videos now and then on my channel as well. And don't forget to also hit the bell icon, because that will let you know when a new video is up on either of our channels. And I will have all those descriptions in the description box below. I don't want you to I mean, I don't want you to miss what I'm saying on this right now on the video, but I will have all those details in the bottom, so it's absolutely clear what I'm talking about. Anyway, as I was chatting along, all I did is I added some yellow flowers, and I think I used wild honey for the yellow, and then I'm using some greens here. I think there's peeled paint and shabby shutters, so the lighter one is shabby shutter, and then I'm adding some depth using the peeled paint. So the painting is really very simple. Again, it's this whole card, there's so many techniques they're going to do in it, and everything is going to look just beautiful as we keep moving along. Now I've finished coloring, and I just heat set it for the next step. And here I'm taking this die cut, this die, and this die has some details on it. So there's a scallop edge, and then there's some stitching details in between the scallop edge and the inside edge, and I'm just going to place that onto the image that we just colored, centering the die to my cardstock, and I'm going to emboss this. I'm not going to cut this, I'm going to emboss it. And for embossing, I'm just taking my platform and I'm placing my rubber mat here. This is just an embossing mat. Sorry, I had some paint on it and it never left, but it's okay. It doesn't spoil my card in any way, so it was all right. And then I added the regular plate and ran it through my machine, and now you can see how beautifully that die cut has been embossed. Now you don't have to necessarily have this particular die cut to create this. You can use circle die cut, you can use two different dies put together, like two different nesting dies put together. So you can use any die for this as long as there's some kind of detail work around it. Detail work would definitely add to it, and multiple layers of details would definitely add. So what I'm doing here while I chatted along, there's an inside edge of this die, and until there I'm going to just add this blue color. So I'm not going out of that edge. So you remember I told you there's 3 layers to that die, 3 edges to the die actually. I'm just going to the first edge of this die with this blue color, and this one is Mermaid Lagoon I believe. And I'm again just very lightly adding a little bit of haze around those flowers, and I'm just going to heat set that as well for the next step. So now you can see that layer pops up a bit, and now we want to add a little bit more colors to pop up the second or the third layer, which is that scalloped edge. And all I'm doing is I'm taking this black Posca pen from Uniball, and I have 2 different sizes of nib. So this thinner nib here, just want to make sure that the ink starts flowing, will help me to go very close to that scallop edge. So I'm just going to go very close to that scallop edge, and I'm going to draw those scallops like I'm really butting that nib's point to the scallop. So it's easy because it has been embossed. It's easy to kind of feel the edge to do this really fine detail work. I was having difficulty seeing, so I just turned on that light. I'm sorry if that light is bothering you. I don't know what happened to the video. Suddenly here a haze came up, and then it'll clear up in a second here. There you go, it's all cleared up. But I hope that light is not bothering you. But I really needed that light to see. There was a shadow that was falling from my head, and I just couldn't see where the edge of that scallop was. But anyway, and here you can see I finished going around that scallop. And now I'm going to take this thicker nib here, and I'm just going to again do the same thing. Let the ink start flowing, and I'm just going to paint from the edge to the edge of the cardstock, from the scallop edge to the edge of the cardstock. I hope that makes sense. You can see here. Be very careful when you're painting with these pens. These are paint pens, so there's paint in them, and they do take a bit to dry, so do not make sure your hand is away. Sorry about my phone ringing all of a sudden. Anyway, be careful with your hand not touching your coloring with the black paint. So be mindful of that paint is quite wet but it dries quickly too, but just be careful. You don't have to use the black Posca pen. You can also use any black marker that you have, or even black watercolor would work as well. You just need to make sure that it is nice and dark. You can even use some other color. It doesn't have to be black. Any dark color would give you this impact. You can see now we have created 3 different layers on this card without actually adding any dimensions. Now, I did have a little bit of black that came on my scalloped edges there. So all I did is I just took a white gel pen and I went over that black pen, and that covered it and made my scallop edges pretty clean, and it looked like that was a different layer. So you can see here how we have these 3 layers. I'm also taking the same black pen and I'm going to cover up the edges or the sides of the cardstock, because there was a white of the cardstock still showing, just to finish it off a bit. And now I'm going to add the sentiment, and the sentiment was from the same stamp set. It just says grateful. I didn't want to add anything big or bulky. Again, as I said, this is just 1 layer card, so I didn't want to create any kind of a sentiment strip. So I just stamped it directly using a black pigment ink a couple of times, so it gives me a nice crisp black color. And here I'm using this gemstone that is just newly released by Crafty Meraki, and it's just such beautiful. I love the pot, the container in which it is, and the gemstones have this amazing sparkles, and there are other colors too in this release. I'm using the iridescent one. There's green, I believe, there's a pink, and then few other colors in this release, and they're just beautiful. And I just added them in a sprinkling here and there onto my image, around my image. And then I just took a top folding white note card and adhered this directly using my liquid adhesive. Again, I didn't add any foam adhesive for this project, and I really liked how this whole thing turned out. And I hope you'll give this technique a try, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. And if you are starting here, go back to Crafty Meraki's channel and then start again, and you would love all the beautiful inspirations by all the other artists. And here is the closer look of the card that I created today. Remember to subscribe and hit the like button, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.